Hey guys, welcome back to a audiobook playthrough of the life and suffering of Sir Brante. Picking off where we left last time, it's the year 1128, fall, soil, and gunpowder. So Robert Brante is telling you, it's the mine outside the city, and we're trying to get to a vein of ore. There was an explosion, the mine caved in, and the black smoke started flowing. Many workers died there. It was all because of Count Velasco, who owns the mines and wanted them to start mining that vein before they were ready. Some of the workers weren't even reborn. Perhaps the twins thought their final time had come. The prefecture had been inundated with complaints from the families that had lost their breadwinners. Asking the judges for help, many people also lost their cattle to the black smoke. Count Velasco blames gunpowder for the disaster. The prefecture and the newspapers just repeat whatever he says, but it's plain old greed and tyranny of the noblemen that are to blame. Why the welfare of our province is always paid for with commoner lives. Then, without warning, he grows silent again. You keep thinking about it for days. Can a human life really end so easily? A single moment of bad luck and you die, only to re-emerge from the temple or the family crypt with a new black mark on your arm? Or worse, you remain where you fell, dead, never to be reborn again, ever. Now, when they say a new black mark on your arm, it means once you get 4 black marks on your arm, you die a true death, right? So the 4th mark kills you. That's what it means by that reference. The order of the province is going down, the wealth is going up because of the mine. Stefan's arrival. During the lunch, Father tells you to stay home in the evening and prepare to meet some important guests. Your elder brother Stefan will return home by dinner tonight. Joining him will be your grandfather, Gregor Brante, as well as a noble friend of the family. You're excited about your brother's return. It has been years since you last saw him. How has he changed during his years away from home? You and Father await the guests anxiously. The doorbell rings. 3 people are standing outside. Grandfather is the first to come in. Naturally, he has not changed a bit since his last visit. Still eyeing the house with contempt, looking for any reason to demean it. Grandfather is followed by a stately young man dressed in a jacket embroidered in silver, whom you barely recognize as your brother. Stefan casts a glance at your threadbare clothes, your dirty fingernails, and smirks. The last to enter the house is a personable gentleman with a worn-out, wrinkled face. You have heard a lot about this man from father and grandfather. He is Baron Augustine Born, Stefan's uncle, a family friend and the province's prefect, which means that he is the head judge, and thus father superior. Sir Elborn smiles lightly and offers you his hand. And this must be your younger son John, yes? You have your father's eyes, young man. Father bows slightly to grandfather and Sir Elborn. But there is a moment of quiet when Stefan's turn comes. Father reaches out to him awkwardly, expecting an embrace. There is a question in Stefan's eyes as he looks at grandfather. The old man shakes his head almost imperceptibly. Stefan says, "We noblemen ought put our emotions on public display, Father. Not even after a lengthy separation." There is no embrace. Instead, Stefan nods to Father curtly. He responds in kind, his face devoid of emotion. After the meeting, you proceed to the sitting room. Elborn is the first to enter. He kisses Mother's hand, and Gloria's too, and tussles Nathan's hair after he sees him hiding by the table. Grandfather acknowledges them with a glum nod. "Greetings, Lydia Brante. I remember you were kind to me when I was but a child. And you must be Nathan. You could barely walk when I saw you last." Your elder brother ignores Gloria completely, not even a greeting. Proceed to the dining room in a dignified manner and take your seats. The dishes smell delicious, but they merely punctuate the overwhelming tension at the table. Elborn is the only one with a friendly smile on his face. Augustine, Elborn says, "The dinner is splendid, Lydia. Did you choose the dishes yourself?" You have a truly refined palate. It warms my heart to know Stefan spent his early years with you. Womanly care always does a child good, no matter the estate. Your fork freezes in the air halfway to your mouth. You expect many things from a noble of the sword, but words of praise for a low-born woman are not one of them. You cast a glance at grandfather. He looks like he's about to choke on those words. Gregor Blant calls out, "It would do my grandson more good to stay at boarding school among his equals." Augustine Elborn replies, "Please, Gregor, parenting is no less important. Nothing can replace a mother's love. I cannot deny it. It saddens me greatly that my late sister could not be there to raise Stefan. But there was still a family for him, and he was surrounded by love. How could that be bad? And besides, his father was by his side all the while. A father's example is always the best. After all, Robert earned the judge's rank the same way you did. Your grandson will surely follow in your footsteps, and who knows, perhaps even the younger men of the Brante family will contribute to that. You clumsy, low-born cretin." Everybody is startled by this sudden outburst. Grandfather's face turns red. He is glaring at a young lady servant holding a pitcher over a glass. Stefan is sitting right there next to him, dabbing a napkin on a fresh stain on his jacket. "Be gone this instant." The lady servant runs away, leaving the pitcher on a small table by the door. After a moment, Elborn smiles again. "It appears the servants have left us, yet dinner is far from over." "Worry not, uncle. There's enough commoners at this table to keep us served with food and drink." Stephen glances at Gloria across the table. She is sitting right next to you. She shrinks down and hunches over under his gaze. Father furrows his brows. Mother covers her mouth with her trembling hands. Grandfather sneers, and Stefan's gaze does not move. The silence lasts far too long. Then she starts to rise from her chair. Gloria says, "If the Brante gentlemen so wish it." Her hands clench into fists under the table. How can he bring himself to humiliate his own family, his own mother and sister like this? It is all grandfather's doing. Stefan could not even bring himself to embrace father without his permission. And yet they are noblemen. They have the right to act this way. If there is any way this dinner can become even more unbearable, you do not want to see it. You have three options. You can insult your brother. You step out of line and insult Stefan for what he has done. Make small talk over dinner. You try to act like nothing has happened and make small talk with the guest. And third one, join Gloria in her plight. You rise from your table and help your sister wait on your family. Now, we're trying to be noble, right? So that means I would want to be dignified in my approach. If I was trying to be ingenuity, I would join Gloria. If it was ingenuity I valued, I would join Gloria. If it was nobility I valued, it would be this one. But what about insulting your brother? Why would you do that? Is that even something that's possible? Like, is there something to gain from that? I don't think so. Stepping out of line is only going to ruin your relationship with him. It's going to create bad blood. And it's also going to, taint the unity of the family. So I think making small talk is best in this particular instance. I'll go with that. Stefan's arrival. Moving stiffly, Gloria takes the wine pitcher and starts refilling the glasses. You turn away from your sister, eager to distance yourself from her presence somehow. So you ask Sir Elborn how you may contribute to the family legacy. He turns to you, clearly relieved. Your eagerness to support the family betrays your noble bearing, young man. It is simple. Always remember that you are a Brante. Your family has a path of its own. You must follow in the footsteps of your father and grandfather and learn the judge's trade. You keep asking questions about the life and duty of a nobleman, trying not to look as Gloria continues serving the table. Sir Alboin is eager to explain. A nobleman must always live with honor in mind, but the imperial law stands higher. There are 3 lots and 3 estates. Naturally, they can never be equal, yet the law must govern those who live within each estate. You have a hard time understanding some of the things the prefect of Magara says, but his intellect is stunning. The dinner ends. Gloria takes away the last of the dishes and disappears quietly from the dining room. Sir Alboin cordially bids you farewell. Grandfather and Stefan are still as haughty as ever, but they are clearly pleased. Pleased with what, you wonder? The dinner or Gloria's humiliation? Then you go to sleep. Your sister is sobbing in the next room, loud enough that you hear her. Gregor likes me a little bit, or dislikes me less. Okay, nobility gained 1. Expected that. Still a dry taste in my mouth from doing that to my sister. A dropped handkerchief. Hot and dry wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands around it. The noble residents of Anizuti prefer to remain in their chambers while the commoners huddle in tents or in shade of the silver tree. You are on an errand right now. Your father wrote a letter to a noble acquaintance, and you are to deliver it. Thomas, the boy down the street, is tagging along. The 2 of you are inseparable now. The errand is an easy one, so you decide to take this opportunity to loiter around the part of Anizuti where the nobles live. So here you are, in the middle of the city, square resting on the ancient brickwork by the old foundation in the merciful shade of the gargantuan silver tree. Thomas is by your side, lazily slouching on the edge of the fountain's basin. Thomas Guerrero says, "It's a hard life for commoners like you and me. Either you break your back in a workshop day and night, hoping someone will buy your goods somehow, or you become a manservant to some noble. You never get a chance to enjoy life. This is our lot," you remind him. "We work and endure and suffer." But Thomas waves your words away. Thomas says, "Yeah, I know all that already. Mother keeps drilling that stuff into me. We must be humble. Our strength is patience and persistence. So yeah, I say, I want to make my fortune no matter what. So how ain't that living by my lot, I ask you? But the lots, they ain't easy. Let's take you, for example. Brante, your father is a nobleman, but even that didn't make you one. Just look at your hands. You never had to work as hard as me, but we have the same lot. So we're supposed to suffer the same. Or look at your father. He's a judge. He toils at the prefecture day and night doing this judging. And he's a noble? I've never seen an Arcadian work as hard as he does." You shrug. The Arcadians are a different race. The books say they were born to rule over humans. They are never commoners, always nobles of the sword by birth. They founded the empire after subduing all the human kingdoms on the continent. Humans will never be their equals. Arcadians are always better, smarter, stronger. Their skin is a noble shade of blue. If the books are to be believed, of course, you have never seen one yourself. Your idle chatter is suddenly interrupted by a rugged-looking guardsman dressed in black and green. He chases you away from the fountain. Common rabble like you have no place here. You hear the clattering of hooves and wheels against the cobblestone and see flags bearing a coat of arms. A sable serpent on a field of vert. It makes you squirm. It is the archduke's coat of arms, the Millennius dynasty. The carriage door opens, revealing a young lady in a luxurious dress. Cannot look away from her. Those dainty shoulders, suggested but not revealed by the cut of her dress, her black hair cascading over them, her stately slim silhouette, her pouty lips and prim nose, and those eyes, dark like the night sky. The way she moves, fluidly, gracefully, and most incredible of all, her skin glows in azure blue. She is a masterpiece given life. She is an Arcadian. "Clear the way for me," a Octavia Melindus says. The Melindus guardsmen work quickly to clear the way to the fountain for the Arcanian lady. The searing sun dances on her skin in bizarre patterns. With one elegant motion, she reveals a handkerchief, then leans over the basin and wipes her head and neck with its cool water. Thomas Guerra says, "Well, I'll be. That's Octavia Melindus, our archduke's own daughter." The Arcanian turns away and proceeds gracefully back to her carriage. You see something slip out of her hand and fall onto the cobblestones right next to you, her handkerchief. It is right there by your feet. Intricate craftsmanship, expensive woven fabric, delicately decorated with emerald filigree. Your heart skips a beat. Will you dare draw the beautiful Arcanian's attention in order to return her lost possession? Or would you rather not attempt to cross the chasm between you and her? Okay, give the handkerchief back to Octavian is option 1, but it's locked because I don't have the willpower to do it. I could stash the trophy. You quickly hide the trophy, planning to sell it later. Or you watch the Arcanian lady depart, trying to burn her every movement into your memory. So it's really a case between these two. I think stashing the trophy and selling it is ingenuity. I think keeping a memento would be willpower. Increasing your willpower using the memento as something of a launch board. Now, since I have -5, I want to go with this. But I'm not sure if willpower is going to come in handy later on. For now, I think I'll go with stash the trophy. I need stats more than anything. And if I end up having to improve, if I end up saving it and getting willpower and using it and it ends up actually improving a relationship, I think this playthrough will be over. I think I won't even make it, a quarter of the way into my adulthood where we just get killed. Honestly. I mean, you tell me, should I keep the handkerchief as a memento? I mean, tell me, did I make a mistake here? Octavia finishes her graceful return to the carriage. It takes off and the carriage disappears from the square. Then you look at Thomas and show him the handkerchief you are holding. It's time to show him how to start earning that fortune. Your eyes single out a traveling peddler in the crowd. When you finally get his attention, you pull the splendid handkerchief from your pocket. Peddlers smirk knowingly, finders keepers, and nobles who lost it certainly won't be weeping over it. Truth be told, it is a truly exquisite handkerchief. It still looks quite presentable and will fetch a fair price. After some haggling with the stingy peddler, you trade it for a small fortune, 4 coins, half of the sum you give to Thomas. Good man! But this was all your handiwork, John. You just grin at him. He can find the next handkerchief. Thomas smiles at you and heads off to the fruit stall together. Good man. Willpower? Hey! 2 for 1. It's a twofer. I love it. But no ingenuity. Come on, that's gotta be ingenuity right there. Year 1130, spring. The Quorum Decree. 12 years old now, you overhear an important conversation. It is a spring night, and Mother has sent everyone to bed. You walk past Father's study and hear voices coming from beyond the door. Grandfather is yelling, and Father is replying quietly. The elder Brante men are fighting, arguing about the place of the commoners in the city. You sneak outside to avoid Mother's attention and hide next to the open window of the study. Perhaps they'll mention you too. Gregor Brante says, "That low-life idiot had the gall to pay me a visit and beg me for some service. He had the insolence to ask me outright. He thought I was going to support his claim for the chairman's seat in the lesser quorum. How dare he?" Father, please listen. Mayor Egmont may be lowborn, but he carries a lot of clout in Magra. He owns 5 iron mines. A friend like him could be quite useful should he become the chairman of the lesser quorum. I don't give a damn who this Egmont is, Robert. What he is, however, is a lowborn. His lot is humility and obedience. The likes of him can never rule anything. They're nothing but a flock of sheep that need a firm, noble hand to guide them. I wasted so many years trying to quash the quorum decree, but that accursed Cornelius Tempest did everything in his power to make the emperor sign that pathetic screed. And now even the lowlifes can wield power. True power, Robert. Just the right to discuss the size of the archduke's tax. Nothing more. That is only the beginning. What next? Are they going to arm the lowlives now? Make them into judges? If the empire rejects the foundations and the lots, the entire edifice will crumble. Blah, who am I telling this to? It is already crumbling, and you, my son and heir, are a harbinger of its destruction. Father, I'm begging you. I do not wish to marry a third time. Lydia is a good wife, a dutiful mother to my children. If you would only allow her to. I will allow them nothing, neither Egmont nor the freeloading wench of yours. What will you want me to do next? Live by the laws of the lowborn? I can already see where this is going, and I'd rather run my own sword through my gut than live in a country where nobles and lowlives share the same rights. My only dream is to see the name of Brante in the Blue Book, but that dream will never come true. They will never call us Venerable Brante, and it's all because of this marriage of yours. My only hope now is to hear Stefan address in such a manner one day. Thank the twins I didn't let you ruin the boy. He's about to grow up a true nobleman. His children will bear the name of Brante. You have 2 more grandsons. Those spineless milkshops from the common lot, they are incapable of anything. The best your middle son could do is sneak into the Imperial College and get ennobled by the mantle, although I have grave doubts about even that. As for the downtrodden Nathan, I hold out no hope for him whatsoever. You hear grandfather's heavy footsteps, the thudding of his cane, and the slamming of the door. It's time to sneak back home before you're discovered. Okay, so power struggle. Okay, so it's swinging towards the commoners going into power. But why is it when all the commoners take over at 5, it's the reign of terror? Kind of biased against commoners, if you ask me. The school begins. You start studying at the school of Sir Tibor and begin to master the sciences. Finally, the day comes when the teachers stop coming to the house. Before you can breathe a sign of relief and put away the books, Father asks you to come to his study. Robert Brante, you've grown, my son. It's time for you to continue your education away from home. I've chosen a deserving school for you, Sir Tibor's School for the children of noblemen and well-off commoners. Naturally, it is not a boarding school for nobles, so you will study there during the day and come home in the evening. You share the news with your best friend, Thomas. Sir Tibor's School, eh? Yeah, I gotta ask my parents to send me there, too, as soon as they get the coin together. Father says his workshop has toiled day and night for years to save up for my education. The school is designed ancient estate of Arcanian design. The classrooms are tall and spacious, with massive benches. The sounds of scraping quills and lectures on the history and imperial law and theology echo under the vaulted ceilings. The rules are strict, the lessons tiring. Restless Thomas keeps getting distracted, and several times he gets his hand slapped with a stick for it. Every teacher demands flawless mastery of their subject. Every day, Father asks you about your studies. You have already told him twice how Magra joined the empire and how the noble's court of honor is different than the commoner's civil court in the city prefecture. But Father keeps pressuring you to work even harder. When it is time to go to bed, Mother will not let you go to sleep until you recite a newly learned prayer for her. And when it is time to go to school, you promise her every day that you will behave with great humility and steer clear of insolent behavior of any kind. For you still live by the commoner's lot, and that lot is hard work and suffering. Your first month in school draws to a close, and the teachers announce that there will be exams at the end of the month to determine the best and worst students in each subject. Father insists that you devote all your spare time to studying law and history if you wish to follow in his footsteps. But when you speak to Mother every day, you start considering theology. You still remember the revelation of the divine visions that came to you in your early years. You have only one more day until the exam. You have locked yourself away in your room. It is already getting late. Your desk is covered with handwritten notes, surrounded by leather-bound books. Just looking at them makes you queasy, but you have read through all of them again, at least for one of your subjects. There is a nagging thought on your mind. Thomas ended up in big trouble with the other day. He got in a fight with several boys who live in the next street over. They heard about your wooden fortress and got in an outrage by the fortification built by commoners. They swore to dismantle it tonight. Thomas swore he would defend the fortress until the end. Perhaps you should abandon the books to rescue a friend in need. But then you hear your little brother Nathan knock at the door. He stands there shyly, not saying a word. He does that, standing there, staying speechless until either you speak first or he runs away. But this time, he actually says something. The door is locked. Are you okay, John? Is there anything I can do to help? Your head is spinning. This is the last evening before the school exam. If you fail, your family will be very disappointed. You have to refresh your memory on the law or theology, either one or the other. But Thomas and your fort are about to be stormed. Why today of all days? You grind your teeth in rage at the thought. Nathan is by the door, trying not to bother you. He wants to help you the only way he can, for reasons unknown to him. Will you accept his help? Okay, 4 options. Focus on law and history. You intently study the book on the secular sciences. Go help Thomas. You sneak out of the house and run to the wooden fort. Study theology. You devote what little time you have left before the exam to studying theology texts. And spend a moment with Nathan. Put everything away and accept your brother's offer of help. Alright, well, Thomas, I have a great relationship with you, and I really don't need to deepen this anymore, and playing fort is not a good, responsible way of surviving this game. Next option, go help focus on law and history. I think that's a straight nobility booster. And nobility is going to be important, so I respect that. Study theology, so same thing, studying spirituality. And then spend a moment with Nathan, the X Factor. I don't know. Let's take a look at the events that could happen this. So we have Gloria's Secret, Stefan's Disgrace. So I want 4 in ingenuity, 4 in nobility. That's what I want. And also 4 in spirituality. So I don't know. What do you think? What would you do? Push Nathan out of the room. He cannot help you prepare for the exam. Soon your eyes start to hurt from all the legal terms and chronologies and titles of imperial edicts. You repeat everything, every single line of it, until your head hurts and your vision begins to blur. When Father walks in, he chuckles in approval. You fall asleep right there amidst the books. The morning comes. You barely have time to wake up before you're walking to the menacing edifice of the school. Time for law. All the students sit still, glued to their benches in terror. The teacher's voice singles you out. If a commoner insults a nobleman's honor, how ought he be dealt with according to imperial law? Bring the commoner to the prefecture, where the judge will sentence him to corporeal punishment. And what if a noble takes a commoner's life by negligence or whim? The noble is fined by the provincial authorities. Surprisingly, even yourself, you give the correct answers to these questions and many more that follow. The next subject is the history of the blessed Arcadian Empire. You masterfully recount the history of every province as they merge with the empire from Monia to Magra. Then you recite the names of every tempest who has ruled the empire. You conquer every question the teacher asks you without confusing a single date. You got the highest grade in law and history with an average grade in theology. You relay the teacher's praise to Father. Over dinner, he smiles, pleased with you. Well done, my son. I can see how hard you have worked. Keep at it. You will be among Empire's greatest servants. I am proud of you. Nobility increases by 1. Alright, I want 4 nobility, 4 ingenuity, 4 spirituality. I want all 3 events. Oh, in the year 1130, in the fall, noble titles. Your education continues. As you study imperial law, you come to realize that there is a certain hierarchy even within the noble estate. It seems your father's status is not quite equal to that of the most eminent human and Arcanian gentry. You return home with this new information at your disposal. Father asks you about school after dinner, as he always does. Robert Brante says, "And what is the difference between nobles of the mantle and those of the sword, John?" You already have the answer ready. The latter status is hereditary, meaning that it is passed down from father to son. After the Arcanians, nobles of the sword are the most eminent humans in the empire. They own land and estates, they fill offices of the highest rank, and the names of their bloodlines are preserved within the Great Blue Book. Nobility of the sword can only be granted only by the overseer of the province or by the emperor himself. Robert Brante says, "And how are such eminent people addressed?" With the honorific L before their last name. You respond, "Sir Augustine Elborn," for example. Father pats you on the shoulder, clearly pleased. And what about the Arcanians and their status? What have you learned about them? The Arcanians stand above all human gentry. They are born to rule over humans regardless of their titles. No L is required when addressing them. They need no honorifics, for the names of their ancient dynasties are known to all. Father nods somberly. Yes, we can never be their equals, but whatever an Arcanian tells you, never defy them, ever. And what about grandfather and me? Where do we stand as nobles? That is easy. Father and grandfather are nobles of the mantle. This title cannot be inherited, but it can be earned by a commoner as a reward for great service to the empire, in the legion, or a civil servant. Father suddenly grows quiet and looks you in the eye intently. Yes, and someday you will earn a noble title too, son. All in due time. Sons of the nobility. Sir Tipper's school teaches children of all stripes. Nobles of the mantle and low-born parents can send their sons here. And every passing day, the children of noblemen invent new ways to snub and bully the commoners. Most of the time, the bullying leads to them is Dendrick, the son of the secretary of the imperial chancery, and a self-important snob. The sons of the noblemen never pick on you. However, they know that your father has been ennobled by the mantle. However, Dendrick and his retinue soon choose Thomas as their favorite victim. Time and time again, you ask your friend not to pay them any mind, but again and again, Thomas grows angry and snaps at their self-satisfied mockery. It is the early morning, the students are busy, flocking to the classroom for the next lesson. You wave Thomas over when you see him, he waves back at you, and then a bucket full of slop splashes on him. Needless to say, it is the work of Diedrich and his entourage. You hear his familiar creaking laughter. The tailor's son stinks. How dare he sit next to decent folk? Thomas clenches his fist. You're dead, Diedrich. He throws himself at Diedrich's haughty entourage like a soldier ready to wage war. He attacks them first. This is just what they expected, and they are free to retaliate. He barely makes one movement before 4 pairs of hands grip him at once. Diedrich sneers and kicks your friend in the belly. Thomas gasps for air and starts coughing. You stand between them as Diedrich readies another kick. The nobleman's son cocks an eyebrow. Why do you mingle with commoners? He asks. Your father is a noble of the mantle. You ought to be friends with your own kind. Your equals, not the dirt beneath your feet. Behind him, 4 boys hold Thomas down as you struggle furiously. The other students are watching you, frozen in fear. Diedrich hauntedly extends a hand to you. He clearly expects you to shake it. What will you do? Do Do I challenge him to a fight? This is the noble thing to do. This would boost nobility. Turn him over to the teachers. I think this is an ingenuity thing to do. So that's a good option. Admonish the nobleman's sons. Children of the parents who have been admonished by the mantle still bear the commoner's lot. And this is shake his hand. He's right. Being friends with sons of nobles can benefit the family. Well, family is not doing too well. Tarnished honor. So I would honestly want to do this. I think Thomas would forgive me. +2. I think this one might be a good option. Admonish the noble's son. And maybe it's spirituality. I need some spirituality as well. So try that out. You make a speech not to the lead bully himself, but rather to his retinue. How come Dedrick sees himself fit to instigate fights? His family may be of higher rank, but like everyone else here, he has yet to take the nobleman's sacrament himself. The nobleman's lot is not yet his, so he is not yet fit to fight or rule, nor are any of you. The twin gods are ever watching over us, you add, and they are ever vigilant. Do you dare to defy their will? Dedrick tries to retort. They've broken no laws, he says. All they've done is teach commoners the meaning of suffering. You call upon the knowledge gained from your theology lessons and easily pick his argument apart. Every man's first duty is to follow his lot, and Dedrick and his friends lack the humility to accept that they are not yet true nobles. The hands holding Thomas down grow weak. There is a whisper among the students around you. You're right. The twins are always watching how we follow the lots. Dedrick's retinue quickly dissolves in embarrassment. He furiously orders them to come back and join his cause, but his exhortations are all in vain. The other boys are clearly impressed by your words. The noble children will think twice before acting out again. Spirituality is +1 now. But we're approaching the end of it. I really need to get +4 in one category. Your theology teacher tells you more about City. It is more than just a provincial capital. It is also a secret place blessed by the gods. It is where the twin gods' first disciples spilled their blood, and from that blood grew the sacred silver tree. Its enormous foliage hangs over the city. You see its branches in the sky every day, but you have never approached the trunk of the tree yourself. Today you will be taking your first steps to the silver tree. Your class is visiting the service in the great temple by the tree's very roots. Thanks to your theology teacher, you and the other students will witness the landmark of the twins' advent up close. Everyone is excited. Soon, you and the other boys enter the slums surrounding the church's district of Anizoti. The roots are pulsating under your feet. They spread underground all throughout the area. Pathetic, cramped hovels and filthy streets surround the trunk of the tree. They are home to paupers, day laborers, and preachers. The people of the district bow humbly to you and point you toward the temple. They seem at peace, despite the abject poverty in which they live. All who live directly beneath the tree are filled with its divine grace, your teacher says. People come here to make peace with the world and their fate in it. Your class is unusually quiet. Everyone is listening to the rustling leaves and the underground beating of the roots. The sky above you is obscured by the tree's canopy. You find the temple of the twin gods right next to the tremendous trunk of the tree. It almost seems a part of it. There is a crowd there, pilgrims dressed in traveling clothes, paupers and beggars, common people of the city, and the occasional well-dressed noble. There are arguments among some groups, some people who are gathered in separate small groups. Many people are wandering around, staring up at the tree's branches. The tree impresses you with its might and calm emanating from it. You're filled with a desire to sit down and think of the world, to learn something about yourself, to touch the silver white bark and hearken to the whispering leaves. You're distracted enough to fall back from the rest of your classmates. You notice a small path that takes you right next to the trunk. A tall, red-haired woman walks out of the crowd of pilgrims. She is wearing a worn white robe. She is no longer young, but her face is youthful and covered in freckles. Her hand clutches a book. You have never seen this lady pilgrim before, yet she looks at you almost as if she recognizes a lifelong friend. She beckons to you and says her name, Matilda, a preacher of Astinera, Astinia. What she says next shakes you to the very core. It is commendable to see a young man so keen to learn the new teaching of the twins, he says, yet he will never follow the light of truth within the walls of the temple. Inside we will find only the lies of the lots, about the lots, the erring word of prophet Astisius, sanctified by the passage of the centuries. Yet anyone who sets out to read the account of the twins' own lives know that they never so much as mention the lots. The red-haired preacher's words frighten you. They clash with everything you have heard from Mother, everything you have been taught at schools. The lots are a lie? You freeze in fear. Should you argue with Matilda, or ask her for more information? Or should you treat her as a madwoman and catch up with your classmates? You suddenly feel a small, warm hand grasp your own. You see a girl right next to you. She is just a little older than you, wearing a black dress. Threadbare yet often spotless, her hair is covered by a handkerchief with only a single golden lock showing. Her brown eyes are burning with rage, her hands pulling you away from the red-haired preacher. You stare in confusion at the strange young girl, your cheeks flushed by the sudden touch. There's just a bit of color on her cheeks too, but then she starts speaking to you quickly. Don't listen to her, she's dangerous. Come to the temple with me, only there will you see the truth. You stand there, surrounded by a group of praying pilgrims, and the sounds of shuffling feet torn between two people you have never seen before. Each of them expects you to follow them. And all the while you hear the whispering of the winds in the tree's branches. The branches reach out for you, almost as if the tree wishes to speak to you itself. Can you hear its voice? So you can follow the girl into the temple. It might cost you some willpower. What truths will you learn inside the temple? You can stay with the red-haired pilgrim, or you can leave them and approach the tree. I think the tree would know more than any human. I want to keep my willpower reserve. I think following the girl is going to lead us to a relationship boost, and I don't want a relationship boost. I need stats. The red-haired pilgrim I think is risky, but maybe she'll grant us some spirituality. I think the most spirituality would be from the tree. So let's see if the tree gives me anything. The tree is beautiful. The silver white foliage stretches and spreads toward the sky, held aloft by a trunk so thick it would be a challenge to walk around it. The leaves rustle and whisper peacefully in the wind. The tree, it seems to speak to you. You walk away from the odd-looking preacher and the young acolyte, ignoring them as they call out to you. You walk around the temple, and the crowd of people getting closer to the tree with every step. Then you extend a shaking hand and touch the bark. It is unusually warm. You can feel a pulse beneath the roots. The tree is alive. The trees are so gigantic they form giant grottos, spaces of air embraced by the roots in the ground. You squeeze into one of these grottos. It is unusually bright and quiet, shielded from the noise of anxiety. Right now, there is only you and the tree. You sit there are the leaves rustling all around you. The only noise you hear is the beating pulse of life that flows through the tree. And this pulse beats in you in time with your own heart. You feel clarity and calmness, free of doubt and frustration. The tree speaks to you, or are they your own thoughts, so strange, unfamiliar, and eye-opening? These thoughts speak of soothing love, crystal clear law, and the love and law intertwined to bring the miracle of life to you. You stop slouching, and your frown becomes a light smile. Hours pass like fleeting seconds. You lose track of time until you overhear someone shouting your name. Alas, it is time to leave the grotto. The sun is setting over Anizuti now. The day was quick to pass. Your teacher frowns, ready to scold you. You mumble an explanation and say you are ready to be punished for disobedience, yet instead the teacher nods in understanding. You keep looking back at the tree all the way home. What happened to you today? You find it difficult to put into words. Okay, well I didn't need willpower. I needed stats, so this is going to be tough. Alright guys, we're going to call it here. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please drop a like and a subscribe. And drop a comment if you're feeling like I could have made better decisions, what your opinions are. I'd be dying to hear it. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, a wonderful week. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great one, guys.